All right, folks, thank you so much. Again, we are back and we have a very. Shiram, if you can just confirm if you're in the call. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
yes. Can you
Yes,
hear me? Can you
absolutely.
see me?
Yes, I can see you loud and clear. The voice is also loud and clear. All
Yeah.
right, I think we covered your introduction during the starting of this session as well. I will not spend
Yeah.
time in order to give again a brief over here, but and let's quickly jump to the entire session theme in that way. So, welcoming folks again. We have this fantastic Ask Me Anything session planned with Shriram right now on the topic of leadership challenges in the AI era. Now, I'll drop some questions. The session format is very simple. I will be having 15-20 minutes of my session where I'll be asking Shriram with sets of, several sets of questions across AI and the leadership challenges, of course. And the remaining 15-20 minutes, I can give it to all of you folks. So, folks, I'm requesting everyone, you can drop your questions in the Q&A box and almost since we'll be having a good amount of time, I would want you to please raise your hand post the 20 minutes of session. Once you raise your hand, I can ask you to unmute and you can directly ask a question to Shriram. This is how the format of the session will be. All right, folks, let's start this session. Let me just quickly stop my screen also. Okay. All right, Shriram, my first question to you. I mean, understanding, AI is a really changing product, teams, and even the pace at which decisions are made. Looking back over the last 2 years, let's say, for example, what is the biggest leadership mindset you have personally had to change?
Yeah. I think the biggest change for me, Vishal, has been becoming extremely ROI conscious about where I invest as a product leader in ideas, in teams, be it in bets or in experiments, and it's again a continuation to my earlier thought that I said. I think that has become extremely important as well, because the problem this fixes is, see, AI has made it so cheap to spin up an experiment, right? So the failure mode has flipped. It used to be hard to try things and easy to know that if they mattered once you did. Now that has become trivially easy, right, to try things, and very easy to end up with a big backlog of AI experiments, interesting demos, internal excitement, and all that AI jazz. But
Hmm.
something that never reaches production and never produces commercial value. See, end of the day, we are all in a business, right?
Absolutely.
That business has to make one of the three things necessarily true. Either it has to bring extreme delight and solve a deep problem of the consumer or the user, or B, it has to make enough revenue for your organization that the organization grows from a financial metric point of view. So if one of these two things is not happening, then whatever you're doing in the process is not a true judicious sense of where you're putting your time on. So hence I
Absolutely.
think I have embraced that change big time. And with that mindset shift, every like I said, every AI bet now has to earn its place with a line of sight to a metric that really matters, be it revenue, be it retention, be it cost, be it CSAT, and not just you've moved over just saying, what, I used AI to build this, right? So that
Hmm.
enthusiasm for that technology is no more a business case.
Oh, awesome. Beautiful answer. Thank you so much, Shriram. My next question is basically on the elm of judgment over frameworks. You recently shared that in product management, judgment is becoming more valuable than frameworks. Now, in an AI first world, where execution is getting easier, and why do you think judgment has become the true differentiator for leaders?
Yeah.
I want to know your
So,
viewpoint. Yeah.
so see, I think I see it very simply, right? There's no need to complicate this answer. So AI is a democratic tool.
True.
You have ChatGPT, you have Claude, I have the same, right? Now you write a two-liner prompt, I'll write a two-liner prompt, the response will largely be the same. So everyone in this room has access to the same models. But what changes, right? So what isn't democratic in this entire context is the context that you bring to it, right? So for example, now along with the prompt, how about you adding a context of the customer for whom you are trying to solve the problem? That makes it interesting. Then you and me are talking two very different things to the model,
True.
right? What about you also kind of share the last 6 months of user behavior data alongside it, then see what your model produces as an output, where it analyzes the data alongside that. Also now then add the third point, which is what is your business growth KPIs that you want to achieve, or what are the the metrics you want to solve for, and in what direction should you move. So now AI will also be able to assist because it understands the direction or the line of sight you want to move. Right now, the fourth thing is, if you could also tell AI what is success and what does failure mean, right? So just
True.
reword your prompt. What has
Mm.
worked for you and what has failed for you? AI will never know in your context,
True.
right? AI may know that you are a good driver who can drive a car, but it may not know that after dark it becomes very difficult for you to drive, right? That's an insight it needs to know, right?
Mm.
And then the final thing is, what your who are your actual competitors and what your competitors in adjacent markets are doing. I think that is one of my favorite parts I love doing, right? So now suddenly see, a single liner prompt will give you the same output if you and me run, but the moment each of us adds these five context of information to that prompt, that's when it becomes quite interesting, right? So the point to land is, you get an equal reward from AI only if you put in equal effort to contextualize it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that is where your judgment comes, that is where your effort comes, and that is what is the the differentiators for making decision, deciding what do you build in the roadmap versus what do you not, taking a trade-off decision which looks very difficult when you look at it emotionally, but now suddenly when you kind of give context to it, and then you let AI give you a recommendation on what are the pros and cons, I mean, then you're totally thinking very differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Context engineering is super important in that way, Sriram. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight. Um, my next question is basically on AI validation versus the product market fit. Now, one of your articles says, I was reading the article as well. One of your articles says AI validation is getting faster, but product market fit isn't. Could you explain what that means more briefly around it, more in depth as well? Where do you see product leaders getting misled when building AI products?
Absolutely. So I think I strongly echo to that idea. So see, I think there are in any product manager's life cycle, if you see, there are four phases, right?
Yeah.
One is you do a deep sense of discovery on what are the right problems to solve.
Mm,
Second, then you get into your planning mode, right? Once you have picked up a problem, how do you plan, how do you define an MVP, how should the user experience look like, and everything. Third is the execution, right, which is the real act of building it, getting it engineered to the the right scale and performance, and then uh, pushing it to production. And the fourth part is getting it adopted,
mm,
right? So I think the fourth part is a very big blind spot for a lot of the PMs, right? They believe their job is done once something has been prototyped, or let's say at best that prototype piece is shipped. But
mm, mm, mm.
I have seen, and I'm sure all of you who would have worked in this discipline would have seen so many dead products. You know
Yeah.
what is a dead product? A dead product is you launch something, but in the first month, second month, third month, there are no active users, or if there were some pilot users, the usage kind of died organically.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you one thing: no good product, right? Even if you pick the Metas or the Instagrams, if they were not design, or if there was not a PM who was thinking about its adoption in the
Mm,
very very early days, or he was not kind of thinking around the hook that would
mm.
get the user latched onto it, you might have seen it becoming a dead product as well, right? So I think that product market fit validation, I think in the AI world, what has become extremely crucial is, how do you decide early so that you don't fail in the PMF, right? Post build. And like I said a while back, even if you fail fast, try again, and kind of
Absolutely.
course correct. And the second is, even if you have built something well, how do you ensure that that thing reaches your customer, they find the value, that right aha moment happens, right? The mechanism that actually moves outcomes, you will shift your focus from the output metrics, right, that to the input metrics you can actually control, and then see what can change for users. So two more things that matter here, which I believe, and easy to very easily gets skipped in the AI speed rush. So which is the ROI conscious AI spend also,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So track what you're spending,
Absolutely.
right? So that like see, right, you have to have an ROI for every feature you build. So if you end up spending humongously, and if your returns are marginal, you need to really look at evaluating what are you spending behind it. And then somebody mentioned AI evals, right? So that is again so true. So we built a forecasting model, right? And when we demoed it to one of our customers, they brilliantly liked it, but they didn't trust it. Why? Because that was predicting a decision for them which they were doing for 2 decades manually. Now, can you beat that? So how do you evaluate that that recommendation is being acted upon, right? And what is the accuracy of that recommendation? So without evals, you are just scaling an unverified judgment, basically. So all these things really matter from
Matters.
a PMF point of view.
Fantastic, fantastic, Shriram. I have last two questions, and then we can turn it to the audiences as well
Yeah.
to ask from to know their viewpoints about their questions. My first question is basically on building AI teams. Now, every organization today wants to become AI first. In your experiences, practically, what separates an AI first product team from a team that simply uses AI tools?
I think I answered a large part of it in my previous conversation with
Yeah.
Saurav as well. A lot of you would have heard. So I'll not repeat that part on how do I evaluate and hire, an AIPM team. But I think what I would just want to add incrementally, and you made a good, you made a good point in your question, right? You said AI first product team, right? Compared to a team that is simply just using AI, right? So being AI first is a decision about how you allocate your team's time and attention also, right? A team just using AI tools, uh, may bolt AI into the same workflow and the same kind of procedural input, output, and review gates, and nothing moves eventually, right? You might have moved faster, higher chances through the same steps, but you would have also moved faster on the wasteful steps which could have been eliminated if you have taken a good decision on what do you need to redesign. So I always believe a good AI first team will redesign what it optimizes for. It reinvests the time that AI saves on execution into more into problem discovery, quantification, right, that I talked about. One thing I have seen with AI coming in, I have not seen one PM saying, "Hey, you know what? My work has reduced." They've only become more busier, right? Because, but the good part of it is now they can put more time on what matters. So that's a sign of a good, a team as well. So if your output is not shrinking, I mean, if your time to output is not shrinking, and if you're not consciously putting more time on the core product work, I don't think you are a AI first product team today.
Very beautifully explained. Thank you. Thank you. One last question from my side, and then we can turn up to the audiences. Basically, very simple, Shiram, advice, seeking your advice for the future leaders. Now, if you're mentoring a product manager today who wants to become a product leader over the next 5 years, what capabilities would you ask them to invest in today that will still matter in an AI driven future?
At the cost of repeating myself, an ROI judgment, even if it is on using AI, just do an ROI judgment, be ROI conscious. Product managers exist because they need to make a very, very prudent decision on the behalf of an organization, which a CEO cannot make. Number two, problem quantification and customer discovery. I think it has become tougher and more challenging in the AI world because now everybody is going behind solving every problem, right? So today, for example, if I ask you to design, a competitor product to WhatsApp, taking care of all the nuances, a very simple prompt on Claude can give you a design, can give you everything, but that's not going to mean that, oh, you would end up designing a WhatsApp like product. You need to understand what is the particular problem that you kind of pick up, and how do you do something which is very differentiated. I think some of the hard frameworks and models of a product manager, right? So one thing I always like is the I don't remember the acronym, but so it goes something like build something that adds delight to your customers,
Customers, yes.
something that is hard to copy, and
Mhm.
something that is margin enhancing, right? So I think those fundamentals really matter. The last thing, if you're really seeing yourself as an AI PM, have an evaluation discipline, do AI evals. That's when you would really know that what's at the other end of the tunnel. So those would be my quick, I would not say feedbacks, but my could I mean lessons that I would want to share with anybody wanting to go deeper
Moving
into
to
this PM role.
Yep. That's all, Sriram. That's all very well articulated, I would rather say. And thank you for answering each and every questions, all those. Turning up to the audiences for the matter, should we take, there are two questions in the Q&A box from the previous session, Sriram. Now, because you're
Yeah,
already aware about the context in that way, should we take that question?
sure. Please let me know.
Yeah. So Anjali has asked that what do you think about PM's jobs reducing with the advancement of AI?
So Anjali, I think one is I think look at if I look at the data, I don't think the data says that, right? I think if at all what has happened is there are enough and more jobs, but yes, I think what has become now tougher is cracking good interviews because there are the AI has kind of increased the bar, right, on what you need to do. Of course, I see I'm a CPO, right? So I also do budgeting, I do headcounts and everything. So I do know that in today's world it has become I mean, in my last 5 years I've been hiring constantly. So
Mhm.
now, I would not say it has stopped or it has become extremely difficult, but today as a leader you need to be very very judicious about where you are spending, right, and what you're spending on. In fact, you would get asked that, okay, you want to hire a PM, but convince us that why existing PMs in your team using AI tools cannot you know do the same job, and why do you need somebody to come in and do that? My answer to that always has been twofold. I never say, oh yes, you're right, let me go back to my existing set of PMs. I think what's very important is, I mean, I'll answer it from both the sides, right? From a hiring team side or from an organization side, you need to put PMs to problems. You don't need to put PMs to teams, or you don't need to put PMs to titles like AI PM, right? If there is a problem to solve, there has to be a PM. There could be multiple PM solving that problem. Right, from a candidate's point of view, I think distill well, the jobs are not reducing, but you would suddenly see that the roles that used to exist, right, the
Mhm.
generalists and others have kind of really reduced. That I would agree, but there are I mean, there are still okay, let me give it to you this way. I'm hiring for the last 3 4 months, and I have not been able to close all positions just because of the lack of good contextual candidates for a particular role I would want to fit in, because I'm not lowering the bar on who do we want. So
Mhm.
the market operates both ways, right? If I am an employer, I'm not getting enough and good candidates, but I totally understand if you are also seeking job, the job market has become tough, but you need to be a little bit smart around it. You need to orient. I'll give you one tip, right? And maybe that tip is for everyone. We are no more in a world where a single resume or a CV would kind of apply to all the jobs. If
True.
you're doing that, you're being lazy, right? Then you're not doing enough and more effort to kind of get a call also.
Mhm.
Every job, every position, you have to research. And I'm talking about anybody having applying for a role that needs 3 or 5 years of experience and above. You have to understand the organization, you have to understand the product, you have to understand the role. You have to look at the context of what do you kind of bring on the table for them. If you do these four things, and trust me, in the AI world that's so easy, right? Every research, every context putting in is becoming very easy. But 3 out of 10 candidates that I interview, and if I ask them, can you explain the role to me? Can you explain the JD to me? They struggle. That's the reality, right? So if you are seven, if you are, don't be those 3 out of 10 people, is what I would say. So do your homework. There are enough and more.
Thank you.
I
Thank
hope
you.
that answers, Vishal. Yeah.
It does really, has a lot of context in that way, I'm sure. So thank you so much again, Shriram. Shriram, there is one questions in the Q&A box, but I would request that person to raise their hand. VD, if you can just raise your hand and directly ask this question to Shriram. VD, I see that you are in the call. If you can raise your hand. All right, awesome. Let me just quickly ask you to unmute. Okay, good to go. Yeah, VD, you can go ahead with your question.
Which question is this?
He has asked in the Q&A box, Shriram, what are the chances of a marketing guy with 5 years experience switching into PM role? First question, what steps to take to make this switch if already built a prototype for a mobile first app?
Great. So let me anyways go ahead and answer, Vishal. So I
Please,
get
please.
this asked so many times, and not just from people who are in marketing, but most of the times it is people who are in tech wanting to go to PM, or people who are in other similar roles. I always tell them one thing: when you ask me what are the chances of it, the chances definitely not zero. The chances definitely not 100. No PM is born a PM, right?
Mhm.
In fact, I come from the era when I started PMing. Having some tech and engineering experience was very essential to get into a product management
Yeah,
role.
yeah.
Even today, for example, we don't hire PMs as freshers. We hire PMs with certain context, right, around the product, around the domain, because you need to know the craft that you are going to work in. Having said that, one piece of advice I give everyone is, see, you must be in some organization and doing marketing. It's always much more easier, try knocking the doors of a product role there if it exists. That's always much more easier. That organization or that leadership will give you, the chances are they'll give you a chance which is 30% more higher, than an organization which totally looks at you externally, because for them you are a marketing guy. Having said that, show intent, and that's what your second part of the question says, right? Prove me, why do you want to be a PM? Can you solve a
Mhm.
problem? Have you solved a problem? Have you listed it down somewhere? Have you broken it down? Can you talk about it? I mean, that shows intent, right? Then why not? So I think if you do these two aspects, 60% you're there, right? Then rest 30-40%, I would say leave it to destiny, luck, and trying more of other options, right? On what clicks for you.
Fantastic. I think he has some sort of a mic issue, which is why he was unable to ask
I
the
hope I
question.
answered it.
Yeah, I think it does. It does. It does. Folks, any more questions from anyone? Please go ahead, raise your hand. Okay, I think there are no more questions, Shriram. Oh, Manaswini has
Okay.
asked. One second, I think Manaswini has asked. Yeah, Manaswini, go ahead, please.
So, hi Shriram. So, you said that you gave one thing like go within your organization, but if someone is starting out and is transitioning into product rather than already being in product.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So let's say if I just take your context, I'm assuming you are not in a product role currently. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
And does your organization have a product team?
No.
Okay, so then that's an interesting point, because if your organization does not have a product team, there's not much you can do. But just for the sake of argument, let's say if your organization had a product team, my recommendation was trying, to take an internal job transfer into a product role, because you know that organization, you know that business. It is a
Hmm.
lot more easier than going externally to any other company or knocking someone else to say, hey, you know what, I need a product job. The second part of it, what I said is, if for example in your case, if there is no product team in your organization and you want to try outside, just do two things, Manaswini, if you have not done so. One is, see, honestly ask yourself, why do you want to move to product? What has made you feel so? Because you have not seen somebody operating in your organization closely, is what I mean, right? So what is your really core calling of saying, I want to become a product manager, or I want to get into a product role? Be truthful to yourself, and because if you know the true answer, you will be able to go to the next step, and you will be able to convert a lot of interviews that you would want to get in. Because I mean,
Hmm.
no prizes for guessing, you will be getting asked that most likely as the icebreaker interview question, right? The second part I said is, see, you will have to put it in your mind that you will have to do a lot more, because you're competing in the same job market for the same jobs, but you're competing against people who have product experience, right? So which
Right.
means you will have to put a lot more effort than them. So show intent. I've been hiring for the last 5 6 years. I'm telling you, if you show intent, if you build a body of work, um, take a problem statement, build a idea around it, build a product around it, use vibe coding, and try building a complete experience product, be it an app, be it a workflow, uh, and kind of reverse work a PRD out of it, and publish it somewhere, write a blog around it. If you are able to talk through that in an interview, trust me, that would make more sense, and make a more stronger case of you on why do you want to move, rather than just saying or turning up into an interview without an evidence and a CV that does not have any product experience. So that will make you stand differentiating. And I think third, the second one I said is ideal, but a lot of you may tell me it is not practical. I'll give you a practical advice. What would work is your network, right? So try tapping your network. People who have been into product roles or work in organization which are having openings in product roles, right? And more so if it is in the domain or context that you know or you have worked on in a non-product role, that makes it a lot more easier. Right, so try looking at these hacks. I'm sure you would be able to get into something, Manaswini.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manashwini. Thank you so much, Sriram. All right, folks. Let's go back to the screen. I do not know why I'm facing issue. Okay, is this visible, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sriram, for your beautiful insights and the Global Product Leadership Festival 2026. This is a small certificate of appreciation from Product Leaders Forum and Institute of Product Leadership. Thank you so much again for those beautiful
Thank you,
insights.
Vishal. Thanks everyone from the IPL team. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. All right, folks. To all the audiences who have joined with us, thank you so much for for being an active listener. I hope you have been taking notes as well, and you really like this session as well. Tomorrow we are back again with the same time, and let's go back to the screen. Tomorrow we have fantastic leadership panel coming in. We have Lokesh Sharma, who is joining from Rizalink. We have Vicky Vishwas, who is the founder of MyCPTO. And we have Sahana Ananta Murthy, who is the Chief Product Officer at Regrid. Same time, we'll start the session tomorrow. And you'll be getting the reminder emails from the Zoom as well. Don't forget to join. Thank you. With that said, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sriram, again.